Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're hearing from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 11, entitled The Perfect Society for Social Classes. I will read the introduction and the first verse, and then we can do responsively text 2. This chapter describes the general principles by following which a human being, and specifically one who is interested in advancing in spiritual life, can become perfect. By hearing about the characteristics of Prahlad Maharaj, Maharaj Yudhishthira became extremely pleased. Now he inquired from Narada Muni about the actual religion of a human being and about special characteristics of Varnashram Dharma, which marks the highest status of human civilization. When Maharaj Yudhishthira asked Narada Muni about these matters, Narada Muni stopped giving his own statements and quoted statements by Lord Narayan, for he is the supreme authority for giving religious codes. Dharmam tu sakshad bhagavat pranitam. Every human being is expected to acquire 30 qualities, such as truthfulness, mercy, and austerity. The process of following the principles of religion is known as Sanatan Dharma, the eternal religious system. The Varnashram system delineates the divisions of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. It also sets forth a system of samskaras. The Garbhadan samskara, the ceremony for begetting a child, must be observed by the higher section of people, namely the Dvijas. One who follows the Garbhadan samskara system is actually twice born, but those who do not, who deviate from the principles of Varnashram Dharma, are called Dvija Bandhus. The principal occupations for a Brahmana are worshipping the deities, teaching others how to worship the deity, studying the Vedic literatures, teaching the Vedic literatures, accepting charity from others, and again giving charity to others. A Brahmana should make his livelihood from these 6 occupational duties. The duty of a Kshatriya is to give protection to the citizens and levy taxes upon them, but he is forbidden to tax the Brahmanas. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement should therefore be exempt from government taxation. Kshatriyas may tax everyone but the Brahmanas. Vaishyas should cultivate the land, produce food grains, and protect the cows, whereas the Shudras, who by quality never become Brahmanas, Kshatriyas or Vaishyas, should serve the 3 higher classes and be satisfied. Other means of livelihood are also prescribed for the Brahmanas, and these are 4: Shalina, Yayavara, Shila, and Unchana. Each of these occupational duties is successively better. One who is in the lower grade of social life cannot accept the profession of a higher class unless necessary. In times of emergency, all the classes but the Kshatriyas may accept the professional duties of others. The means of livelihood known as Rita, Silonchana, Amrita, Ayachita, Mrita, Yachna, Pramrita, Karshana, and Satyamrita, Vanijya, may be accepted by everyone but the Kshatriyas. For a Brahmana or a Kshatriya, engaging in the service of the Vaishyas or Shudras is considered the profession of dogs. Narada Muni also described that the symptoms of a Brahmana is controlled senses, the symptoms of a Kshatriya are power and fame, the symptoms of a Vaishya is service to the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, and the symptoms of a Shudra is service to the three higher classes. The qualification for a woman is to be a very faithful and chaste wife. In this way, Narada Muni described the characteristics of higher and lower grades of people and recommended that one follow the principles of his caste or his hereditary occupation. One cannot suddenly give up a profession to which he is accustomed, and therefore it is recommended that one gradually be awakened. The symptoms of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudras are very important, and therefore one should be designated only by these symptoms and not by birth. Designation by birth is strictly forbidden by Narada Muni and all great personalities. Text 1. Sri Sukha Uvacha. I will chant this and we'll do the next verse responsively. Shrudvahitam sadushabha samhajitam mahattamagramya urukramatmana yudhisthiro daicha pater madanvita paprichya bhuyas tanayan svayambhuva. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami continued, after hearing about the activities and character of Prahlad Maharaj, which are adored and discussed amongst great personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, Yudhishthira Maharaj, the most respectful king amongst exalted personalities, again inquired from the great saint Narada Muni in a mood of great pleasure. Text 2, so please respond. Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha Bhagavan Shrotam Ichchami Nirnam Dharmam Sanatanam Vanashramachara Yuttam Yatmuman Vindate Param. Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha Bhagavan Shrotam Ichchami Nirnam Dharmam Sanatanam Vanashramachara Yutam Yatpumam Vindate Param. Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha. Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired, Bhagavan, O my Lord, Shrotam, to hear, Ichchami, I wish, Nirnam, of human society, Dharmam, the occupational duties, Sanatanam, common and eternal, for everyone. Vana ashram acharayutam, based upon the principles of the four divisions of society and the four divisions of spiritual advancement, yat, from which Puman, the people in general, Vindate, can enjoy very peacefully, Param, the supreme knowledge, by which one can attain devotional service. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Yudhishthira said, "My dear Lord, I wish to hear from you about the principles of religion by which one can attain the ultimate goal of life, devotional service. I wish to hear about the general occupational duties of human society and the system of social and spiritual advancement known as Varnashram Dharma." Please repeat. Maharaj Yudhishthira said, "My dear Lord, I wish to hear from you about the principles of religion by which one can attain the ultimate goal of life, devotional service. I wish to hear about the general occupational duties of human society and the system of social and spiritual advancement known as Varnashram Dharma." Purport. Sanatan Dharma means devotional service. The word Sanatan refers to that which is eternal, which does not change but continues in all circumstances. We have several times explained what the eternal occupational duty of the living being is. Indeed, it has been explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jivera Svarupahai Krishnera Nityadas. The real occupational duty of the living entity is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even if one prefers to deviate from this principle, he remains a servant because that is his eternal position. But one serves Maya, the illusory material energy. The Krishna consciousness movement, therefore, is an attempt to guide human society to serving the personality of Godhead, instead of serving the material world with no real profit. Our actual experience is that every man, animal, bird, and beast, indeed every living entity, is engaged in rendering service. Even though one's body or one's superficial religion may change, every living entity is always engaged in the service of someone. Therefore, the mentality of service is called the eternal occupational duty. This eternal occupational duty can be organized through the institution of Varnashram, in which there are 4 Varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and 4 ashrams, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Thus Yudhishthira Maharaj inquired from Narada Muni about the principles of Sanatan Dharma for the benefit of human society. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gnananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Anmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. So King Yudhishthira is inquiring of Narada Muni. In the previous chapter, he was inquiring about the activities of Prahlad Maharaj, and they're described, his activities are described as being uncommon. 5-year-old boy instructing Bhagavad-Dharma. It's not usually, you don't usually find 5-year-old boys talking about Bhagavad-Dharma. Generally, they're bewildered state of mind, because as Prahlad Maharaj explained to his schoolmates, how human life is wasted. First 10 years in childhood, bewildered, 10 years bewildered. Then, next 10 years, boyhood. In boyhood, sporting activities and playing, another 10 years wasted. In old age, due to invalidity, due to dwindling body and problems with health, 20 years wasted. And the rest of a madman's life wasted in what? Yes, sex life, family affection, So here's a 5-year-old boy speaking about such things, about a wasted life trying to satisfy the tongue and the genitals in family life. How life lived so is lived in vain, and in family life, taking care of family, children, and taking care of necessities of life, which seems, according to material society, a very nice thing to do, to take care of the necessities of your family, to take care of them nicely. But also, this activity is being carried on in animal life. There is no difference. So then Prahlad went on to mention that devotional service, the alternative to serve the Supreme Lord, how by performing devotional service, there is nothing that cannot be attained. By understanding Krishna, the source of all existence, the source of all that is, the supreme proprietor, the supreme controller, by understanding this, there is nothing, and serving Krishna, there is nothing that can be, that is unobtainable. Whereas a life wasted in futile attachments to family simply is a life spent in vain. So finally he summarized by saying, explaining how he got all this knowledge from his spiritual master Narada Muni. And so that was his activities, wonderful, uncommon activities, not like the activities of materialistic conditioned souls. Sattvam rajas tamaiti guna prakriti sambhava nivadnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. That material nature consists of the 3 modes, and when the living entity comes into contact with the 3 modes of material nature, he becomes conditioned. Conditioned means that you have no freedom. When you put state conditions on anything, that means you cannot, if you act outside of those conditions, you're not allowed to act outside of those conditions without being punished. That is what conditioned life means, that you are forced to behave in stereotypical ways. This is unlike Prahlad Maharaj, whose activities were uncommon. The activities of the conditioned soul are stereotypical. We know that under the 3 modes of material nature, in Sattva Guna, there is always going to be the following of religion. In Raja, there is always going to be the intense desire for fruitive activity, for the results of one's activities. And in Tamagun, there is always going to be laziness, madness, inertness, and activities without considering the consequences. That means behaving without concern for other living entities or for the results of the way you may be behaving. That is always going to be the activities in Tamagun. So these are stereotypical behaviors, and we see, when you look at the material world, you can see in all circumstances, one can predict, according to your knowledge of the modes of material nature, how a person is going to behave. Generally, like Prahlad explained, how family life, the goal is woman, and how the man becomes a plaything in the hands of woman, a plaything in the hands of woman. Nowadays there is some little exception to that. Some people, there's some aberration, some people have that wrong now. That they believe that women are being exploited, but Maharaj said quite categorically that the man, infatuated man, becomes a plaything in the hands of women. So that is an aberration in modern life, and we don't know where that is going right now. We hope it won't last, but generally the activities are stereotypical. When a man meets a woman, it's usually the same dialogue. What is your name? Where do you come from? What do you do? Where do you live? All those kinds of natural things you ask. Nowadays, if you ask a woman for a date, it may be considered sexual harassment. So as I say, this is an aberration of the times which cannot last. But devotional service is not cannot be understood from a mundane platform. It has to be understood really in the association of devotees. One may read the books, and Prabhupada recommended very strongly that we read the books. But by study and reading the books, we might make some advancement in spiritual life, but not appreciable advancement, because what is required is satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkana rashayana kata. That satam prasangan, in the association of satam, the purified devotees, the hearing of Krishna Katha becomes very pleasing, rashayana, very pleasing, hritkarna, to the heart and the ear. This is the act. This is different. It is not academic process. One may read the books and in an academic way repeat what you have read there. But if you simply do that, as Srila Prabhupada said, you may do that for 3 million years and remain the same. You will asking, after 3 million years, you will be asking the same questions and still not getting the answers, not understanding the answers, because you haven't heard in the association of the satam prasangam, the self-realized soul. In fact, it is recommended, the scriptures recommend that you do not hear Krishna Katha. Even if Krishna is spoken about, Krishna is glorified, or Krishna's names are chanted by non-devotees, it is recommended not to hear from that source. But mama virya samvido, if you hear from the right source, self-realized soul, then that becomes very pleasing, and very quickly we become Krishna conscious. And what is the sign that we become Krishna conscious? What is the sign that we are serving spiritually and not materially? There are certain symptoms by which we can understand this point, whether we are actually serving Krishna or serving our senses, because as we heard, the Sanatan Dharma of the living entity is to serve. Each living entity, every living entity, that is something that cannot be taken away. There is no instance in time and place where we are not serving something, either society, humanity, our family, or alternatively, if nothing else, what are we serving? Our senses. Yes, ultimately we are serving our senses. The mind is saying, dictating so many things. We have made our plans for today, right? Most of us have plans for today. Hopefully we've made our plans for today within our mind. So we don't really know what will happen to us today. Our lives might be terminated today, we don't know. Or today we might get some wonderful realization. But if we're following devotional service properly, and we're utilizing our senses in the service of the Lord, we will know what we are doing every moment of the day, because we have a planned regimen for that. And the proof that we are serving spiritually is that we have constant realization, enlightenment. That means it's not going to take us 3 million years to wake up. We're going to wake up immediately. But this is very important, this point that we must hear in the association of the pure devotees. So we need that. The moment our spiritual life becomes hackneyed, oh, I've heard that before, it means that we're not serving spiritually. We're serving on material platform. That means we're not experiencing the rasa of spiritual life. We're not seeing things as they are. We're not experiencing the wonder of logic. We're seeing the world through Shastra Chakshush. Now this is, King Yudhishthira wants to hear about the Varnashram Dharma. Varnashram Dharma is the Vedic civilization. The Vedic civilization is that life is seen through Shastra Chakshush. We do not perceive the world through our gross material senses, but we see through the Shastra. The Shastra gives the standard of behavior for human beings, and that is followed. And that is the benefit of the Varnashram system, that every order and Varna has prescribed duties, and if those duties are performed, everybody is happy. Performed jointly, cooperatively, not like in modern society where the attempt is to make everybody equal. This is creating chaos in society, that you cannot anymore discriminate who is intelligent and who is not. You cannot say if anybody commits crime or does something unlawful, they're not to be blamed. They are what? Victims of society. So, but Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad-Gita very clearly that the living entity is responsible for its happiness and distress, whereas cause and effect within the material world is going on according to the three modes of material nature. But ultimately we are responsible for what happens to us. We are responsible whether we will be experiencing that hackneyed, hands-on chin experience, and we're not sitting up straight, enlivened. It's nice when you get enlivened right, you immediately start smiling. Rashayana kata. You sit up straight and you start smiling because Krishna is inspiring you from within the heart in the association of the pure devotees. So that's what we have to seek out. It is very important that we seek this out. So King Yudhishthira was asking in this mood. We heard of great pleasure. He was experiencing great pleasure in discussing, in asking. He was experiencing happiness. I think I will stop there and ask for any questions if there are any, please. Yes, Prabhu. Enlightenment, yes, that means we're seeing through the Shastra. We're not seeing according to the condition of our mind. The mind is like a prism. The truth, light comes into a prism, it's refracted, it turns according to the state of that mind, it's different colors. But we don't want to see like that according to condition and vision. We want to see according to the eyes of the scriptures. And when you can see through the scriptures, then you can see everything clearly. You can see the cause and effect. Then there's no more bewilderment, isn't it? When you can see. When you're in ignorance, everything's a problem. It's like when you're sick. If you're ill, You don't know what it is. It's a great problem. You don't know. Maybe it's terminal. I don't know. But then when you find out, it's not such a problem. Even if it is terminal, at least you now know. Enlightenment. Samadhi. You think that there's no better gain than this. This is consciousness. You come to that consciousness. You know, we spend millions of lives bewildered, and then we suddenly see the truth. And then what happens? A change of heart. Change of heart. Then you can see things as they are. Yes, that's what it means. To see a meaning, purpose in life. Otherwise, what is the problem for modern society? They have no goal. Economic development. Lower taxes. I mean, there's no goal in that.
So you're saying that realization isn't just when you start understanding, you actually you have your vision is directed by scriptures.
Yes, you see through the eyes of scripture. Yes, exactly. Because otherwise, what can the eyes tell you? They can tell you nothing. But in conditioned lives, we see and we follow. The eyes see, and the legs follow. Yes.
How is the commercial one defined in today's world, today's society? Because, earlier on, the caste system, according to what was described in the scripture, it was very well defined. But in today's society, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they are kind of, it's not very well defined. So, I just wanted to know how is it valid in today's society?
Well, it's valid in every society. It's the only valid thing. Otherwise, it is...
How does one determine in today what is like if there's somebody out there in the society, how does one determine what they should be doing?
Yes, well, that is the duty of the spiritual master. The duty of the guru is actually to engage the devotee according to his nature. He has to determine what is the varna. That should be determined. That can be determined by someone who is self-realized, who can, the brahmana in society is the head of society, and he understands through cultivation of spiritual knowledge where living entity is situated. Otherwise, society is now Varnashankara. No one is clear about what their duty is, because they're, as described, Varnashram samskaras must be followed. Nowadays, no samskaras are followed, so therefore no one is sure of where they're situated. But within every society in the world, it doesn't matter, Chinese, Western, there are always these four divisions of society. Yes, and the problem you're asking about, how are they clearly defined and recognized? Well, they're recognized by the Brahmins, that we have to create a society of, we have to create a head. That's what Srila Prabhupada wanted, that we create a head of Brahmanas who have the Brahminical qualities and can discriminate. Yes.
So we all have a practical experience that we may hear life in class and feel enthusiastic to get more determined in devotional service, and
Yes, I understand what you're saying very much, very clearly. We're not all qualified. Frankly, when we sit on the Vyasasana, what can we speak? I mean, a fool is recognized when he speaks. So it's a great responsibility to sit on the Vyasasana, is to speak the truth and repeat the truth and not to speculate. Because if you're just happy with speculation and you're not interested, if you're just interested in speculation and book knowledge, then you're not going to have much potency to help anybody. You have to put that into practice by good association. So how to preserve, when you do hear, when you are in life, is to cultivate that knowledge. Bhavanti Hritkana Rashayana Kata. That means by cultivating that knowledge. In other words, you come to class, you hear something, and you go out and you do not forget it. You remember it and you act upon it. It's not that month after month, year after year, you attend class and nothing changes in your life. Every day your life should be changed. Why not? This is unlimited. It's a transcendental process. We can't grasp it. It's Krishna's. It's a transcendental process. So we have to cultivate that. Write, speak, explain. If you want to, then you explain what you have heard. To assimilate the knowledge, the best, Prabhupada said, one should explain it. Write it down, explain it, cultivate it, practice it. And immediately you try to do these things, immediately your life is transformed. There can be no doubt about it. If we have faith, providing we have the faith. Shraddha Raktir Bhakti Anukramishati. By that good association, all those anukramishati means that all the advancement in spiritual life automatically follows. Automatically follows. Yes. I can't hear. Hare Krishna. On what?
Blaming his or her misery or distress, putting it on others, and not taking responsibility.
Ah, yes.
So what would be the best approach, according to your experience, to elevate the consciousness of such a reward? What would be the best way to have? One who plays the victim.
Well, that's conditioned life, isn't it? Everybody blames everybody else now. I mean, that's the whole process of life. Everything that happens to the individual has to be blamed on somebody else, right? They're making a society of victims. How to avoid that? Well, you have to become responsible. You have to acquire knowledge. You have to hear from the right source. Knowledge of Bhagavad-Gita. You have to hear the instructions of the Bhagavad-Gita, where Krishna makes it very clear that we are responsible. This is knowledge. Disseminate this knowledge to people. You cannot make mundane laws. Mundane laws are not going to help. You cannot cure a society of its ills by making mundane laws. But people have to hear Bhagavad Dharma. They have to come in contact with Krishna. They have to hear about Krishna. Krishna Katha must be heard. We have to get them to hear Krishna Katha so that they have some alternative to conditioned life, that we give them some alternative to conditioned life. And the best way to do that is to have that realization yourself, individually. Otherwise, how can you help? If you go out into the street and you feel no different from everybody else in the street, how are you going to help anybody? You have to feel, we hear so often now the old cliche, never think you're better than anybody else, but there's got to be some discrimination. You have to discriminate who to listen to and who not to listen to. Not to be misled, because bad association is one of the most damaging things in spiritual life. And that's quite often done innocently, naively. Yes, well, if you hear from the Bhagavad-Gita, you will know that what is our real position. Disseminate the knowledge of Bhagavad-Gita. Yes. Hare Krishna. Yes, Brahma.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Is there any shortcut or only the shortest and fastest way to get free from three modes? Prabhupada writes it takes 1 second to get divine knowledge.
Yes, that's what we're discussing in this class. Bhavanti Ritkana Rashayana Kata. Get the association of pure devotees. That is the shortcut. Then it won't take 3 million years. That's exactly what we're discussing. And it's the individual responsibility to find out, to develop the intelligence to know who is more advanced than you and who is less advanced. It is the individual responsibility, because there is mana and dana. There is respect and there is compassion. Respect goes up, compassion goes down. That's a shortcut. Come to Holy Dham, seek out pure devotees and acquire knowledge. This is the shortcut. The long way is to come to Holy Dham, visit all the holy sites, and go away and not learn anything. Yes.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
The first question is, like you earlier mentioned, that we shouldn't hear about Krishna from any person, like
Non-devotee.
from devotees. Like nowadays, there's a lot of devotees here around too.
Yes.
Especially like I'm from Punjab. So you can see there's a lot of fact the people from these, devotees, like the sadhus, and so how we can tell them don't listen to these people, they respect them, properly. They just bring them only for material things. They won't teach them properly for Krishna consciousness.
Right. There are so many cheating gurus, but the criteria is that one should belong to one of the 4 sampradayas to be bona fide. Basically, you have to. That's very simple, and the Brahma Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya is highly recommended by Srila Prabhupada for this age. He has given everything we need, and we don't need to look anywhere else. Yes, ma'am.
There is one line from the Prophet of Prabhupada that government should not charge taxes from the Krishna consciousness.
They should what not? I didn't hear that.
There is a line again I'll repeat. Government should not charge taxes from the devotees of Krishna consciousness. Devotees who are Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
How is it possible? Is it possible? Government did not charge taxes from them?
Is it possible? Well, certainly not if they're demoniac. It would be very hard. But I believe the President of India now is a little pious, and there may be some benefit there. And the new President of America has promised to protect religion and their non-tax status. So those are good signs. Otherwise, in the Vedic civilization, Yes, the Kshatriya was allowed to tax, but he didn't spend the money for his own benefit. It was spent for them to perform yagyas for the benefit of the whole society. Jai, thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.